Sticking overseas, Israel says the ceasefire with Hamas is back on after dozens of airstrikes on Tuesday. Forgive me. According to Gaza's Hamas-run Ministry of Health, 104 people were killed. Israel claims Hamas violated the ceasefire and that they were able to hit, quote, dozens of terror targets and terrorists. CBS News national security contributor Sam Vinograd joins us now. Good to see you, Sam, here with us in Washington. How do we assess the state of this ceasefire, given that Israel did what it did yesterday in response to what Hamas had done?
Well, Ed, I think we have to put this in context. Of course, the murder of an Israeli soldier, which is why Israel said that it conducted these strikes against Hamas. He murdered the Israeli soldier. The death of tens, if not over 100 Palestinians, including civilians, is incredibly horrific. But at the same time, ceasefires aren't meant to be broken, but they sure are broken a lot. And we expected to see various reversals by both sides, various steps back from the terms of the ceasefire as phase one of the deal was concluded and as we hopefully look forward to phase two. So we should expect more hiccups in this process while Hamas, Israel, and the international community work to ensure that the framework stays in place.
And speaking of phase two, we're not there yet, right? We haven't heard much about progress in that regard in terms of winding down Hamas and standing up some new governing authority over Gaza. That's what makes this even trickier, right? Is that there's no progress or apparent public progress in these talks while this incident occurs.
Well, other than the exchange of hostages, Palestinian prisoners, and detainees, there hasn't been a whole lot of progress made, and Israeli withdrawals to a certain red line within Gaza. There's been less progress on, for example, getting more assistance in. There has been a civilian-military coordination cell set up, but there are still issues with getting more assistance in. And in terms of Hamas's disarmament, in terms of an international security force, and in terms of a governance body for Gaza, we've seen less progress on that. And the reality is, though, Ed, we all do need to exercise some form of strategic patience. This is a very difficult deal to negotiate. And while the president supercharged this when the ceasefire was signed, which was a momentous occasion, these other steps do take time and are going to require not just resources, but sustained attention from the international community.
And complicating this more, the IDF posted a video they claim reveals Hamas was staging a recovery of hostage remains. Do we know what Hamas has said about this?
Hamas is denying the claims, which is not surprising. Again, Hamas is a terrorist organization. They've engaged in these kinds of public displays of showmanship in the past. You recall the hostages that were horrifically trotted out to receive. It looked like goodie bags almost when they were being released. So this is unsurprising for Hamas, but of course, very difficult for the families awaiting the return of bodies. And Hamas may just not know where some of these remains are, but they really need to stop these horrific displays.
And you've been involved in preparing presidents for big moments like the one the president's in the midst of right now. He's over in Asia on a completely different time zone and sort of clock dealing with that. This situation happens in the Middle East. How tricky can it be to sort of divert a president's attention to this other thing and say, hey, you're over there in Asia dealing with this, but something just picked up and it got a little urgent over here in the Middle East?
The three presidents that I served under were able to walk and chew gum, and that's because they had advisors around them that were ensuring they got the information they needed, and they had 24/7 classified and unclassified communication. So I do think it's possible for a president to pay attention to what's happening in another part of the world. But I've got to tell you, Ed, you were just talking to Weijia, this bilateral summit with Xi is going to be tough. The Chinese are so prepared for these meetings. They know every detail. They study up on both the president and his cabinet, and they're coming really ready to negotiate in a very prepared way.
Yeah, so lots of global challenges facing the president as he has a bunch waiting for him when he gets back here. Sam Vinograd, it's always great to see you.